Hi, everyone, and welcome to On the Hook, the official podcast of Yellow Pike Media. My name is Rick. I will be your host for the next half hour or so, and I'm extremely excited about our guest today. I have known this guest for quite a while, worked with him a number of times, and easily one of my favorite creators to work with. I get to talk to the CEO of Unboxing today, Lamarr Wilson.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, Lamarr, how are you?
Good to see you, Rick, man. Really good to see you.
It's good to see you as well. No, it's all true, dude. Every word of it. I have never lied on the intro of this podcast that anyone's aware of. Thank you for agreeing to do this. I know we've talked about it a couple of times in the past, and when you finally had the opportunity and you said yes, I was like, yeah, this is going to be a great show. But let me start with letting you introduce yourself and who you are, what you do, and how long have you been doing this?
Oh, good question. So yeah, my name is Lamarr Wilson. I am a content creator, influencer in the tech gaming space. I have been a content creator starting on YouTube since 2008. So what is that? Is that 16 years now? If I can do my math right. 16 years, and I've been doing that. So and then during that time, I've added Instagram and TikTok and a few other networks as part of that. So I am a full-time creator, and I love what I do. I have not worked a regular job in 18 years. It's wild. It's hard to believe I've been doing this longer than I have been. I just actually did the math the other day. I've been doing this longer than I worked an actual 9 to 5 type job before.
Wow. So and you always seem so happy about it. So
I am.
Clearly it agrees with you.
Oh, it does. It does. I wake up when I want to, except today when you made me wake up early for this. But that's fine. Yeah, don't worry about it.
I'm worth it, Lamarr. I'm worth it.
You are absolutely worth it.
What did you do before? What was that first half of your life?
Yeah, so before, oh man, so I was in, I would say primarily sales. Sales and marketing was I worked at Best Buy, and then I had a computer building business, and so I was always had a love of tech, right? That's always been my love, because as I'm what, 46 now, so tech wasn't really part of my life until I got in high school. So that's when I and so I worked in Best Buy right before Windows 95 came out. So that was just a perfect time to like learn tech. And so from there, I worked at a school. I was a tech coordinator for elementary school. In Chicago, it's K-8. They call it elementary. And so I did that for a number of years, about 9 years or so. Started my own consulting business to work with multiple schools. I realized a lot of schools in our area did not have technology proficiency or equipment, and the teachers weren't really into it. So I made a consulting business to go school to school and do staff development training. I built their websites, trying to get them up to speed to where a lot of the other schools were. So I worked in a lot of the urban areas to get them proficient, and then I stumbled upon YouTube after that.
And so what made you make that switch? I mean, it's obvious that you've always had a real love of tech and a real intellectual curiosity about what is it and how does it work and how can we use it. What made you make that jump?
So you mean to switch from the consulting business
from the consulting to content creation? Yeah.
The federal contract I was working with was running out. And
unemployment seems to be a theme with a lot of creators.
Yeah. I was looking ahead. I saw it about a year out. It was running out, and I was like, have I done what I needed to do here at the school district? And by 2008 or so, I was testing the waters of YouTube. And what really got me into it, that was true. But before I did my toe in YouTube, it was really because the school district needed someone to do some video at different schools for staff development purposes, and no one knew how to do video. No one knew how to edit video. So they're like, "Do you know how to do it, Mr. Consultant Man?" And I was like, "I will in a few months." And so I threw videos on YouTube to play with it, and that people were like, "Hey, we like this stuff." And so I didn't think it was going to be a thing, until about 2010, 2011, when the federal grant was about to run out. I was getting an audience. I was making money. I was like, "Oh, right. This can this be the thing that replaces this school thing?" And so
So
it just kind of happened. Yeah.
so it was really a case of you were just trying to work on a skill to use in your current job
Yes.
to address a need, and it just kind of that hey, I can make money at this is always kind of an interesting moment, I think, for a creator.
Yeah, I think so, and I still loved consulting and things, but I was able to transfer a lot of those skills over to versus working with at the time I was actually working with 50 schools, but I look at that it's like okay, working with this number of schools, but if I do this internet thing, I work with the world, in a sense, I'm not all 8 billion people, but that would be nice, But I just looked at it as like, hey, I'm still transferring the same skills over to this. So it was actually a pretty seamless transition, surprisingly, looking back now.
Right. And did you get to I'm really curious about the CEO of unboxing. I'm going to be really, really honest.
I'm
How
curious
did
about it
you
too.
get that?
That was a name that was a playful name that was given to me by TikTok. TikTok had this thing, I would say around 2020 or 2021, when I was getting more serious on TikTok. They have this thing where if you do a lot of one thing, they would call you the CEO of so and so. Oh, she's the CEO of makeup, or she's the CEO of eating bread. And like it was just a silly name, So someone I got several comments because all my unboxing videos they called me CEO of unboxings, and I was just like, that's funny. That's weird. Like
Sure.
I can't call myself that, but they gave me the name, so I'll add it to my my tagline, and it kind of just stuck. But I really do love unboxing. Unboxing is a it kind of goes back to my childhood. I didn't really have a lot of holidays or presents or
Mhm.
anything. So whenever I get a box, I always feel like this wonder, this excitement of what's in there, what's new. I like new things. I like cool things. So what you see in a video, yes, there's some production value there to have people watch it, but I am generally excited and interested about what's in there and being able to tell people those things in a way that they feel like they can live vicariously through me and seeing this new product. So I just have a love for that process.
That's very cool. And you said something really honest, and I'm really curious. So I want to dig a little. You say some of it's production value, but you're generally excited and being very honest.
Hmm.
Authenticity is a huge thing about being a creator and genuinely, because I think audiences can sniff it out when you're not, right? I
Oh,
think it becomes a
absolutely.
little bit obvious, right?
Hmm.
If you're just doing it because somebody called, I got to check, now I got to do this thing, right?
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
never have portrayed that. How do you keep that wonder? Is it all because of your childhood and how that influences what you do?
I think maybe I just think I have a genuine love and interest in the thing I'm talking about. So it's just gonna be natural. So when I do a brand deal, the video, unless the brand gives me way too many talking points, where I have to sound like a robot, and I usually try to fight those. But if those videos sound the same as all my other videos, and I do that on purpose. And I know sometimes that's one of the things I'm still working on. All my videos can sound like I'm a salesperson in a way because I just know how to present and products. So but sometimes I have to catch myself because I'm like, wow, that sounded very QVC. Let's do that. Let's do that again. I want to, and you know what gets me on it? It's acceptable on YouTube, but TikTok humbles you because those are real people who are with no production, right? They just say, I got this thing, here it is. And it made me change the way I present it because I couldn't go on there with my YouTube persona and try to pull that off successfully on TikTok. TikTok's all about authenticity and just being yourself.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, it's so stark when you come across that one creator who hasn't quite figured that out. You'll be scrolling and it'll be like, who are you? Right. What you don't quite fit here. And it's interesting. And this is something I really wanted to talk to you about today.
Mm.
It's interesting when you talk about the difference between YouTube and TikTok and changing your persona specifically. Um, I know you used to do a lot more long form. You were doing, really cool stuff with your video. That's why we would come to you so often and say, Lamarr, we have a thing. And it kind of surprised me one day when you said, Rick, I'm going to have to pass because, and you explained to me kind of what was going on in your head, how you felt as a creator at that point in your career. And you didn't, to me, sound happy. It felt like there was a moment in your career where you were like, I didn't really feel what I wanted to do and wasn't feeling what I was doing and didn't know where you wanted to go. And I personally was so honored that you would share that with me. But I think mental health is something that all creators struggle with at some point, because it can be a little bit of an echo chamber or just a vacuum where you don't feel the feedback is real. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm. No, that's on the nose, and I think what happened was 13 years or so, or 14 years had gone by at that point, and I'm like, I'm still doing. I usually have a 5 or 6 year itch where I'm like, okay, I want to do something new. It doesn't necessarily mean a new type. Like I didn't have to move from tech to pharmaceutical. It's not nothing like that. I still like my genre, but it was just doing the day in day out thing. As much as I'm privileged to work at home, and I it's an honor to be able to do this, and I don't have any regrets of that. It was just the day in day out of the content just started getting boring to me, and it started getting boring to me, then it's going to get boring to the audience, and then you start stressing about views. Then because I live off this, then the money's that it's just a snowball effect that starts happening. So and then honestly, Rick, I was just burnt out again. It was just so
Sure.
long doing the same thing, and from a mix from the audience to just the content, I'm just like, this isn't interesting to me anymore. I need something else. So short form had always been around, but I'd never really taken it seriously. And I'm gonna be honest, I think the pandemic, I'm not gonna be careful how I phrase this. I'm not gonna say it was a blessing, but the time alone and a time to breathe and reflect gave me perspective and the will to try something new. So I started the TikTok and was just putting clips and things on there, and then there was interest, and so I started making content for it directly. And here's what happened, Rick. As I started making that content, I was also making YouTube content. So I was taking a
Mm-hmm.
YouTube video, and then I was shortening the YouTube video and make a version for TikTok. And then after a while, I did like an unboxing that was like 8 minutes on YouTube, and then shortening down to 30 seconds a minute on, with all the points on TikTok, and that one and Instagram, and that one would do way better. Have all the points. People loved it. And so I started saying to myself, am I bullcrapping in the YouTube video? Because if the 1 minute video is giving all the information that people need, and I'm really packing in there, I'm being personable and all that, what is the point of the 8 minutes? And it started getting to me. So I started doing more and more, and I just realized I think a lot of that YouTube time was just filler. And I think we all
Sure.
did it. I don't think it was intentional. I personally never did it. Oh, let me get it to 8 to 10 minutes so it can get extra AdSense. I didn't care about that. Most of my money was not made out of AdSense anyway. So I never really looked at that. But
Right.
it was just like, how can I get the message across to people more effective? And short form seemed to work for it. It's shorter, it's to the point, and honestly, I could do more content, but I'm not spending as much time doing it. So, from a mental health perspective, that relieved me a lot of pressure. It added some initial pressure though, because now I have an audience of what, almost 2 million on YouTube, and I'm literally saying bye.
Right.
I'm doing something new, even though YouTube Shorts came out. It doesn't go to your subscribers. So in effect, I was kind of starting over. I think the reason that worked was because I was excited. I was excited to start over. I've done the same thing for so long. So starting something fresh was scary, fun, but at the same time, as far as an income point of view, I was already making most of my money on Instagram and TikTok anyway.
Really?
Yeah, my YouTube was declining, and advertise, like advertise
Mm-hmm.
brand deals, and the AdSense wasn't doing much. And so, but the shift started to go towards the short form because a brand could have that whole video to themselves.
Right.
And then we fast forward to today. That's all they want. We see more and more brands are
Oh,
wanting
definitely.
the
It's
short form.
yeah.
So did I see it early? Yes. I'm not some but it wasn't guaranteed. I just saw, hey, this is something that I can be really good at, and I really just want to focus on the storytelling aspect of it. But man, when I started it and I went full time, and I told you, the YouTube audience, that's in
Yeah.
I think September 2021. This is my switch. I had never felt better and more relieved. My anxiety was gone. It just melted away because I was now in control. I feel like I was back in control. This train wasn't running by itself. I had control of it. I was starting over, and fast forward three years later, I still feel the same way. I had some ups and downs about specifics of content I want to do, but in general, I have no regrets about switching over. Income wise, everything pretty much doubled.
Wow.
Yeah, well, but really, just I
Is
just I
Lamar,
had I
when
got a
you
new
say that, is that
audience.
because you can do more now? You can actually create more content faster? Or is it
That's
just because you feel like because your happiness with this new kind of content and this new delivery really shows through and it draws more people in?
There's a few layers to that. So yeah, yes, I'll answer yes to your first to both of those on a partial level. But I think again we seeing a market switch for brands. Like I'll give you an example. Last year, 2023, not one brand, not one, asked for my YouTube channel, even though I'm on YouTube Shorts, and I got 2 million people now. It's growing. Not one brand asked for YouTube. They all wanted TikTok. They wanted Instagram. So there is a market switch of short form, but on these, a lot of brands still don't trust the YouTube Shorts. So it's so that's the main part. So just more quality brands and higher rates because they get to own that video.
Sure.
So that increased the income, and yeah, I'm able to do more at a faster pace. And again, I think yeah, just having that new audience, a fresh audience that likes what I do, that all just kind of works out to make it a viable business.
That's incredible. I
Yeah.
think listening to you talk about, genuinely how you felt and where you were at when you made this choice, I think it's something a lot of creators probably feel and don't know what to do about. How important to your continuing to do content right now today was that decision? Would you have walked away? I mean, because it had to have been terrifying. This is your money, this is your life, this is what you do, and you really made a hard pivot.
It was scary because if I was wrong, can you go back? That's the question I was asking myself. But this is not new to me. When I left the school district to start my own business in 2006, that was equally scary. Matter of fact, that was more scary. I'm leaving a government job with state
Sure.
benefits and a
Yeah.
pension and all and all that, and security, so they say. Even though that can we know that that's not always secure. But so I'm not, and then when I moved in 2012 from Chicago to LA, that was a huge jump. That was a life jump. I have no family here. I have only a few friends here. So I'm accustomed to making big decisions, like that leap of faith. And I knew it was going to work out. It wasn't a one day I wake up, it's like, hey, let me just try this, see what happens. That would not be wise. But I had
Sure.
already tested it for months and months, and I saw this is where everything's going. And like I said, I do have a support group. I have an agent I work with. That just gave me the hey, if you do this, you should be fine because this is where it gave me the statistics
Right.
but I just kind of knew in my heart of heart. You just sometimes you just know. And
Sure.
people around me they're like, "What are you doing? Why would you?" But
Yeah.
I've always heard that everything I've done, I've always heard, "What are you doing? Why would you do that? Why would you leave this?" And you just have to do it. I just think if you're really miserable, I think if I was going to give advice to this, if you're really really miserable, I think change is it's scary. I would absolutely plan it out, but I just think sometimes that leap of faith makes all the difference. Could it still fail? Sure, but that would be on me at this point.
Right.
not on the decision.
I think that's one of the best pieces of advice I've heard from a creator to other creator is kind of take the leap, right? It's like if
Yeah.
you believe it, if you can look at it logically, not emotionally, not through the veil of anxiety, and not through the and I think everybody can relate to this on a very real level, regardless of what you do for a living, not through the lens of the people around you who think you're about to just walk off a cliff, right? It's like
Yeah.
everybody move to a new city for a new job. Are you crazy? Are you sure? I think that is universal.
Right.
And I think that message of no, if you thought it through, take the leap. Because one way or another, you're going to be okay because you're okay with taking the leap. And I don't think creators get that kind of feedback enough. And I love the fact that your agent kind of gave you the numbers and said, no, you'll be fine. I think that that's for some creators who don't have that, I think that's sometimes a missing piece in that kind of mental process. But I do think just the overall message of, sometimes you do walk off that cliff, but you do it knowing I've equipped myself with everything I possibly can to survive this transition, and it's going to be okay one way or another.
Yeah. And I'm a persistent person. I remember when I was 16, I wanted to work at Best Buy. It took a month. I went every week for a month, and like I think it was November. Every Thursday I would show up, and the guy was like, "We're not hiring." Second week, you again? I said we're not hiring. Third week, man, I told you we're not hiring. Why are you still here? Because I said because I want to work. This is where I'm working. I was working at a grocery store before that. I'm like, that's not my destiny. I'm working at this. I need to be here. Week 4, I walk in there. The manager, he looks pissed. He looks at me, and he's like, "Didn't I tell you?" And I was like, "Yeah, you did." And then he paused for about 30 seconds, staring me down. He's like, "Get over here and get an interview."
Nice.
I got my name tag, and I was on the floor that day. I was working that day, and because I just knew I was going to be there. And it's that determination that I've just kind of always had. If I know I want to do something, I'm going to do it.
It sounds like you had a very clear vision of your path and where you were, where you wanted to go, where you wanted to be.
Yes and no. I don't want to make it sound all flowery. Like I knew that in 10 years I had no idea what I would be doing, next 6 months from then. I just knew at that moment in time, tech felt important to me. I was in my high school computer lab every single day. I saw the progression. I was helping. I was like, I want to do more with this. I want to, I didn't have any of this at home. No one did,
Right.
unless you were really rich, so I just knew, I knew it was important to be part of this. I didn't know why. I didn't know where it was going. I knew I had to be there in that moment. And I'm glad it did. It changed. It shifted me completely. I was going to be a journalist. At least I wanted
Everybody's going to be a journalist at some point.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I think it's an important message for creators, though. It's like and it's really the question I was kind of roundabout trying to get to is like, as much as it sounds like, you had the whiteboard and the roadmap and everything, you really didn't. It's all about taking that risk, taking that leap of faith, knowing in your gut that this is what you should be doing, and going for it.
Yeah. Most of it you learn in hindsight. And that's just me being real. Like the idea, some people can scope out their 5-year vision, and I God bless them. I think that's great. My brain has never worked that way. I do plan. I take lots of notes. I'm making some changes to some stuff I'm doing, not even now, that we could talk about. But I never know exactly where it's going. I just know how determined I am to make things work. It's the positive aspect of the hustle culture, but I hustle within myself. I don't like the culture at all, but I just know if I'm going to make this work, I need to be up. I need to get this going. I need to make, and I moved here to LA. I had no money. I mean, I had a little money that was advanced to me, but I didn't come here. Like I got 6 months on me. I can just about 2 or 3. I had to
in LA.
I had to figure it out quickly, and I did. It was tough though.
Well, you've just ruined my next question was, where do you see yourself in 5 years? So flip past
that's
that
not
one.
necessarily ruined.
No, but you did give me an out, and you said you have things coming up that you're working on and plans. And what's the future look like for Lamarr's channels and your content?
Yeah, so the immediate future, it's funny as we're talking about me being, the CEO of unboxing. There's a moniker I always will have, as a fun thing, But I'm actually, and it is this is I've been working on this actually for the last 4 months, in collaboration with Copilot and ChatGPT. I love
Mm-hmm.
those things. It's like having an assistant, But I'll just run it through. I want another change, another focus, but the audience really won't see much. So what I'm thinking of is one of my passions. My main passion is really the tech lifestyle. And what I mean by that is like everyday tech, how it affects your life. And I had to think about that. That goes back to when I was working in school, right? That goes back to when I was a salesperson. It was like how do I help you with how this thing can integrate into your life. And so I'm really into smart home. I've always been. I'm in a smart home. I'm into things that could just make your life easier. That's why I got the Apple Vision. I wanted to see how this can improve your life. And so I think the tweak I'm making is just a more deliberate focus on the tech lifestyle, but that still incorporates gaming. It still
Mm-hmm.
incorporates pop culture and things. So it's more of a marketing thing. I realize I should probably market myself in some genre, and I think what the reason I've changed that, the more I'm in the short form, the more I'm realizing that as much as I don't like boxing myself in, pun intended, because I do know boxing, uh, I with short form, I really you really do have to have they call it niching down,
Right.
and I fought it for the longest time because I'm like, no, I'm a general person. I like so many things, and that's fine. You can do that, but that doesn't always mean that's the most marketable
Right.
thing for your business. So looking ahead, I was like, okay, is unboxing really the most interesting thing, or is it me explaining something in a simple way? So I had to kind of humble myself because I was thinking, well, I'm the unboxing guy, and it's like, yeah, but that's not the thing that people really care about a short form anymore.
Right.
If it's a mystery box, if it's yeah, sure. When I got the Apple Vision, yeah, people wanted to see what was in it. But even that, I did that really quick because
Right.
people just want to see the experience. So I'm just shifting from the spending time taking the thing out of the box and focusing on, hey, this thing exists. How can it help you in your everyday life? And so it's more of a tweak. The average person watching me won't really see any difference, but for me, long term, I think, and even just as a black creator, there's not and I don't acknowledge that enough, but there are not a lot of us in the tech space. There are a few prominent people, of course,
Sure.
but it's not enough. And I noticed as I've mentored on the side and all, and I just noticed that there needs to be more voices and just say, hey, I'm in the tech space. This is my story.
Absolutely.
And so again, it's a conglomerate of different things. But I just think I want to set a good example. I want to be some of the younger people to say, hey, because just like Marquez Brownlee, MKBC is a I see I said the name,
The first
yeah,
person I think of when I want somebody to tell me
absolutely.
about new tech. Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've known him since he started, and I'm so proud of him. And there just needs to be more perspectives of that. So while in the unboxing, I'm very generalized, and again, it should be fine.
Hmm.
Short form, short form starts to have a problem with that because it doesn't know quite where to put you. Are you in gaming? So I have to pick one. I'm gonna still
Right.
do what I want to do, but I just have to, from a marketing point of view,
So it's
yeah.
a question of feeding the algorithm for the best result.
It's feeding the algorithm, and then just presenting myself in a more, I just kind of realized I'm getting older. And as I'm getting older, I just, yeah, I'm gonna be humorous. I'm always gonna be humorous and fun as much as I can in my videos. But yeah, I just like, hey, I'm getting older. People are looking at me for advice. They're like, hey, you're
Right.
you're up there. So I just realized, hey, I need to be a voice in something. I can't say I'm a voice in unboxing, but
Right.
like it's not. I
Understood.
hope hopefully you understand what I'm where
No,
I'm
I
getting at.
get it. You want to contribute more in the space. You
I
want
do.
rather than just someone to have the takeaway of, oh, that looks cool, but also to come away with. And I think I understand it a little bit better than when I went in, because Lamarr has explained to me why this is cool and why I should look into it.
Yeah,
Fair.
that cliche. What is it? Entertain, educate, inform. I'm probably
There
saying
you
it
go.
out of order, but I really want to really narrow in on those educate and inform without letting people know you're educating them because I hate that.
Right. Yeah. Don't
Yeah,
teach me. Show me. Right.
there you go.
It's that fine line.
There you go.
You
That's what I
touched on
learned in the school.
something.
Hmm.
That's what you learned in
Hmm.
school.
Well,
Oh,
teaching. While I was in the
teaching.
while I was in the school,
Mhm.
you have to learn that with these kids who didn't want to be there.
Right.
So how do I come in and sell to them this idea of education without making it seem like I'm educating because they didn't want the educator, So I had to
Sure.
use entertainment. I had to use other methods. So I'm just applying the same thing here to
I,
what I do
I,
now.
I love the message that skills you possess can be used in content creation. I think a lot of people think they have to learn like all these new skills to be a content creator, but really it's like they tell authors, right? Right, which it's the
Yeah.
same thing, right? Same argument.
Yes.
You touched on something that wasn't originally part of the plan here, but I personally happen to think it's so important that I really want to talk to you about it.
Yeah. Sure.
Especially, this is February. We are here in Black History Month. You mentioned your sense of obligation to be a voice as a creator of color. How important is that to you in kind of deciding your path?
I'm gonna be very raw with you and honest about this. It didn't used to be because I didn't see a need for it. And what I mean, like I don't come out and say, "Hey everybody, I'm black. I'm black. Hey, remember? Hey, like I just did my content. But I'm realizing again as I'm seeing, younger people who are coming into this who want to be creators. They're asking questions, they're looking up to. I've been invited to I talked at a couple of schools and things, and I just realized, this is what I did in my last life. This education component is so important, and it's so important for people to see other people that look like them doing something that is not the easiest to do. They kids look up to people if they want to be an athlete, they look up to the athletes that look like them. They want to be in a certain field. It's just a natural thing everybody does. It doesn't mean you're pro one race or another. It's what we do as humans. And once I started mentoring again, I realized that it's important to just be a positive figure. It doesn't mean I turn into Malcolm X and I'm not gonna be every video is gonna be, hey, power to, like, I don't have to do that. My example of just being there, being present, being kind, uh and just being a good example is enough. I look at others, like we mentioned Marquez. I think he does a great job of that. He does,
Hmm.
like, he doesn't have to prove, like that he's a creator of color. It's obvious, but he holds himself at a certain standard that you want to look up to, you want to reach for. And I think there's room for many more of us to do that because this is not easy for other people. Get it? I've been mentoring a couple of people, and I just realized how even with mentoring, it's still hard. It's still hard to get into for people to even accept you. Like
Right.
I'm used to all the abuse. I can take the words that I get on a daily basis. I can take I can do that. But for someone new coming in, that is really tough. So, just having people that can tell them, yeah, this is hard. Here's what you need to do. I think that's part of my calling.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that you do that because I think one of the hardest things is and it's everybody, right, that wants to do what you do. Those words hurt when you're starting out and you're already insecure and you're not sure that
Hmm.
you're good at this.
Right.
It's the internet can be like just a pack of jackals sometimes, and it's a real challenge.
It's tough. It's tough. The fact that I've been, I would say the fact that I've at 46 have been accepted on TikTok, I'll take it. Yeah,
Sure.
like, yeah, the pandemic helped. I mean, God, I need to stop saying that. But the pandemic got more adults on there, so now
Right.
people are used to seeing more adults, and that's what I meant. But again, I just think in a space like that where there's young people there, but there's a lot of older people. There's a mix of all kind of people. It's important to have a voice, but a more specific voice than what I've been giving. I've been
Sure.
giving the last couple of years just kind of a general. I'm here. I like stuff, and I'm good at it. I hope. I mean, I've been doing it for the last. I think I am.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
you're okay.
yeah. I just want to be better at it. I want people
Sure.
to, be, and again, you mentioned the algorithm. I hate, that's why I avoid it. I hate having to play to the algorithm. It's like, come on, really, I need, but you do have to at least acknowledge
Especially, I
that
would
it's
think
there.
TikTok. I think TikTok more than anywhere else, it really is, as you said, it's a question of how do I get into that niche
Mhm.
where it calls me the CEO of unboxing, right? Or whatever it is you want to do, where that comes from the platform itself, more or less, where the algorithm goes, this is the niche that we're going to show everyone looking for this content, and it kind of pulls you up. And
Yeah.
I think everybody hates it, but that's kind of the reality. And I feel like brands are more comfortable, would you say? With knowing that this is where you fall, and I know exactly what your audience is.
Absolutely. No, brands do the algorithm. And I look at my own numbers; they're all over the place sometimes. Because unboxing is not a genre. But I was programmed from YouTube to be like, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
There's people who do it, like there's unbox therapy. There's people who do unbox. But even with him, he's still under tech. I was
Right.
I was trying to do more general, and for a while it was working. Then it wasn't, and that's the change it made. So who are you? TikTok's like, who are you? What's your genre? What are you going to be talking about? And you focus on that. And I think there's a way to do that. I can still talk about gaming, and from a tech point of view, because there is no gaming without tech.
Right. 100%.
There is no smart home stuff without. So I can still play in those spaces, but I think it'll make brands a lot more comfortable, and I think it'll make the algorithm more comfortable over time.
And while we're on the subject of brands and what they're looking for, and backpedal a little bit, to know what you were saying about being a creator of color, being a black man in this space, especially on TikTok, right?
Hmm.
Do you feel? I want to word this honestly, but I don't want hate mail. Do you feel that there are challenges in that you may not face if you were, you know, a white guy like me, right? If you were just
You mean from getting
from
brand deals, or
from
just in
from,
general?
from brand deals, and also algorithmically, because I know I speak to creators all the time, and I know that from their experiences and from sometimes agents' experiences that I hear, there does seem to be kind of a tension and a pushback sometimes within the algorithm.
Hmm.
Um, More so on other platforms, I think, maybe than TikTok, where those creators aren't silenced, but they're not elevated the way others are. We're both going to get in a lot of trouble, so just
No, 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 no,
feel
no.
free.
No, no. This isn't a bad question. I promise you, this is not a bad question,
I, I
because
just
I'm
I
because
just
because because
want to
I'm
be
answering
really
it.
real, because
No,
because I hope someday some creator stumbles across this for whatever, and here's what you have to say right now, and that it makes a difference to them.
the only reason I paused because I wanted to calculate how far back. I have felt this ever since I've started. I have always felt I've had to do twice as much work to get what I say. I remember I was I mentioned I was there when Marquez started. We were in Skype calls almost every day with another creator, another tech creator, just chatting, and I saw his work ethic. Marquez, the reason Marquez works as well as he does is that he had to do double, triple the quality and value of everyone else. He answered every single comment for years. He did the highest. He got the highest quality camera. He did there. So there, and I'm not saying anybody else can't do that. What I'm saying is I've just seen as a creator, at least is what I felt, that on a level playing field, the algorithm is going to always prefer others. And here, I'll give you an example. I'll give you a quick example. think about international people,
Mhm.
Asian community, all around the world, right? Malaysia, whatever, all these other people that have access to YouTube. When they make a YouTube account, the people that YouTube for the longest was promoting was not us. It was the Jake Pauls. It was I have no problem with these creators. It was PewDiePie, but here's where I'm going with that, because they were promoted, like when they come on. Oh, these are creators you want to see. If that's all you see for so long, and then I pop up, whoa, what I don't want. I want to see the and I know I'm talking general, but
Mhm.
this was a real thing because I actually spoke to YouTube about this. We've had meetings over the years, and they acknowledged that this was an issue. What they were promoting was just the most popular people by numbers, but not giving people diversity. And because of that, that's what people tend to prefer. So what black creators start doing is just not being in the thumbnail,
Oh
just so
wow.
they can get a chance. And I think why TikTok and Reels and YouTube Shorts works for people of color, and that's when people ask me, where should they start? You should start in short form, because that judgment is taken away. Like there's no thumbnails. You are flicking.
Sure.
Now you can still see me and say, I don't want to see that, and click and flip. But if I catch your attention enough, maybe you'll stay around here. And so I'm just saying there's a better chance. This is an excellent question. So yeah, absolutely. I have to fight the algorithm on that. Do I have proof, definitive proof, other than a couple meetings here and there? No, and they'll never directly admit it. But yes, it exists, and I'm not the only one who feels that way.
I cannot thank you enough for being willing to take that question on, and I
Yeah,
appreciate you saying it was an excellent question. It is something I run into, um, in what I do and what we do here at Yellow Pike, and we make a point of making sure that our brands understand that we are going to present you the best creators, and we are going to present you the people that we've worked with, that we trust and we love, and we know will do the best job for you. And you are going to see, when you see our presentations, that it's not what you're going to see if you go to YouTube and trust their algorithm. It's not going to be um, what you might expect, but fortunately they're very good about trusting us. And we can't always do it, but we try very hard to make sure that we're doing our part to help elevate, because I agree with you 100%. I think seeing yourself in someone who's doing what you want to do is probably the single most important thing anyone at any age can ever see.
hmm
So I cannot thank you enough for being willing to tackle that very honestly.
no problem.
What, we got a couple minutes here.
hmm
What one piece of advice would you give someone sitting at home? They got their camera, they've got a mic, they're ready to go, they're going to be a creator. What's your best piece of advice for someone starting off? Where to start, what to do?
It sounds so simple. It almost sounds insulting to say this, but post. And here's what and I especially if you want to just put something on, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok. Like you will sit there. I have friends I work with, and I was like, dude, just post. You have this good idea. You want to talk about shoes. I promise you, there is a huge shoe community.
Oh, there is.
Yeah, you want to talk about knitting. I'm just making that one up, but I found out there's a huge community. Like
I
whatever
have
it is
friends
you,
that are in that community. You're 100% right.
yeah, yeah.
I love where you're going with this. This is great.
Yeah. So whatever it is you like, whatever it is that you're passionate about the most, that you can sit and have a conversation about with me, just chatting it up, that's what you post. And you post and you post and you post, and you're gonna see 0 views, you're gonna see 1 view, you're gonna see 2 views. And the thing is, and it happens to my friends all the time, they get to 3 or 4 videos and they quit. And it's like, you were just there. All you had to do is keep posting. It may take 50 posts, it may take 100, it may take 10, but like you will never know until you post, because you don't know who's on the other end watching you. I found out through some audience members years ago that celebs that were following me. This was early on, because they could at the time you could see who's subscribed to
Mhm.
who, and I was just like, oh wow, like you just never you don't know what kind of opportunity that could be, whatever. So the point is to just put it out there. The longer you wait to put it out there, the longer it will be for anybody to find out how great you are. And there's so many great people out there with such a wonderful story, but they just won't post it.
Yep.
Just everybody has a story, and this industry right now is all about storytelling. That's why I'm tweaking my content. It's really about telling the story of I'm not talking about once upon a time. I'm just what's your story about the thing you want to talk about? If you love shoes, why do you love Jordan so much? Why do you love Adidas? What's the background behind that? Did you work at a store? Did your uncle used to give you handmade down? You're like, what's the story? That is content. And so I really want people to just to do it. It's Nike's slogan.
Yeah, just do it. I think it's honest and it's real, and you're right. It sounds so kind of oversimplified, and it sounds just so, gee, yeah, I never thought of that, right? Like, what are you trying to tell? But it's so true.
Remember when Blizzard a few years ago did that? They did a convention and they were just like, "You guys have a phone, don't you? Don't you want?" When they talk about this mobile Diablo, people are insulted by that. But I say that for creation, you have a phone, don't you?
Yeah.
Then that's all you need. Yes, in time you can get better lighting and better production, a little mic, but like most people who want to do this at least have a phone. That is your gateway. Think about what they did on Vine back in the day.
Yep.
They were literal stars made from 7 seconds, 6 seconds, whatever it was. Can you fathom that? Because they had a phone. They had a little Boost mobile phone. It didn't matter. Little 1 cent phones, and that's why so many people in the urban community were able to finally become creators. You couldn't afford the MacBook and the big PC setup, but you had a phone, and that changed that changed their whole life and their perspective. So that's my advice. I could talk all day on this, but I won't.
No, and I totally love it, dude, because I am completely on board with you. You have gear, you have tech, you can go live right now, this second, and you don't have to do anything else.
Yes.
And I think I think that's a paralysis a lot of creators use as an excuse. Oh, well, I don't have that amazing mic. I don't have that 4K.
It's the number one thing I hear. Yeah, it's the number one thing I hear every single time. And that's why things like Vine and TikTok are so accessible. Especially TikTok, you can edit. You don't have to have Final Cut. You can do all of that right in the. It's amazing how cool this technology is right now for that.
100, yeah, no question. I mean, I don't carry. I have a full DSLR rig. I haven't carried it in 2 years because my iPhone, I can pull it out of my pocket and take as good a photo, and I can go home later and throw it in something like a Lightroom or even just in the mobile version, clean it up. And it looks pro.
That's been my camera since I started in TikTok officially in 2020. At my phone, I gave up my camera. I gave it to somebody who was doing a production thing. I was like, I don't need it anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, just my phone and a little portable microphone if I want really good quality. That's it.
Lamarr says, just do it.
Do it.
Just do it. Lamarr, thank you so much. This was great. I really enjoyed this. You're an interesting guy, and I love that you've had success for so long and you've been able to reinvent yourself so many times. I think that's inspirational to a lot of people who are going to hear this and want to understand how you got where you are. How can I be like Lamarr?
I'm honored to be able to do that. Seriously, I'm an interesting, quirky guy. I sometimes I get like, no one wants to hear my story. No one cares about what I do, and but people like you remind me that I do matter. People do want to hear this, and it makes me want to continue to keep doing what I do. So thank you.
Thank you. Do me a quick favor. Where can people find you if this is the first time? And it's so unlikely. The first time they're hearing your name.
Might be.
Tell me where.
Yeah, so I'm at Lamarr Wilson. That's Lamarr with 2 R's. So I'm at Lamarr Wilson on all the socials. I'm not on Twitter X. So I'm on Threads. I gave that up a year or so ago with no regrets. But if you want a direct place to get my bio and everything, go to lamarr.tv. And that is my landing page for all of my stuff.
Awesome. Thank you again, man. I owe you lunch. I've owed you lunch for like 3 years now, but I mean it. I owe you lunch. Next time I'm in LA, I'll make good. I promise. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll do this again next month. Thanks a lot.